I know this is over a week late, but Bethesda and Arcane Studios released a gameplay video detailing the ins and outs of Deathloop, and you know as well as I do that I have to cover it. In the video, Dinga Bakaba, creative director at Arcane Lyon, explains how the game will function in regards to your objectives and how you progress through each successive loop with both new weapons and abilities. So without further introduction, let's jump right into the analysis. Starting off, we have some slick action combat that once again makes me believe that this will be a very fluid first-person shooter, and unlike anything the studio has done in the past. This part where Colt stabs his machete through the enemy's back is really cool, and reminds me a lot, funnily enough, of the stealth takedowns in Dishonored. Arcane's animation department really does love to give their kills a little bit of flourish, and it shows. Now this scene here puzzles me a little bit. It almost looks like an amusement park of some kind, right? Kinda strange to have a sci-fi theme park segment on Black Reef Island, but honestly, it's just as wacky and insane as the denizens of the island themselves. Colt is also using that same ability we saw for the first time at the end of the last gameplay trailer, which seems to increase his health and damage output. I'll be bringing up this area again later for a very specific reason that we'll discuss shortly. This next scene is very evocative of the Dishonored games in the way that the player model's hands are positioned similarly to the player models from Dishonored, and it also evokes those games by having Colt complete a death from above takedown in classic supernatural assassin style, cleaving the head off the NPC with ease. Now the mastermind behind Deathloop, Dinga Bakaba, takes the stage, and although what he has to say is important, it will not be the main focus of this video. However, it would be incredibly stupid of me to not at least analyze the offices at presumably Arcane Lyon, located directly behind Dinga, and the Easter eggs that the offices contain. First and foremost, we have our first look at the complete map of Black Reef Island, with named districts and all. We don't get a particularly good view of it from this angle, but we will soon. The next things I noticed were the pieces of Dishonored memorabilia scattered around the desks in the back, namely the mask of Lady Boyle from the original Dishonored, the mask of the Noble that offers you the non-lethal option for Lady Boyle's last party, the Spring Razor gadget, which is an awesome tool of destruction to use in the games, and of course, Corvo's infamous mask, that also happens to be sitting right beside me on my own desk as I write this. Okay, now, the first close-up glimpse of the map brought my own attention to a name. In the upper left corner, we can see that Black Reef was once under the military command of one Field Marshal J. Berezin. Is this individual someone we will be learning about during the course of the story? Perhaps through lore pages or audio recordings in classic immersive sim fashion? Okay, and then this next close-up gives us some very interesting pieces of info. The first of which is this area named the Complex, which based on the previous trailers coupled with the location of this area on the map, I believe this to be where the mysterious time loop device is situated, along with our good friend Igor Serling, who has his lab right underneath the towering structure. The second thing is an area located a little bit southeast of the complex, simply named Berezin's Manor. Now I think we will most definitely be learning more about this mysterious character and his connection to the island's history. Cut forward a few seconds and we have another clip of Colt emptying bullets into his foes while also delivering a mighty and magical kick. Get it? Dark Messiah. This clip does make me wonder if the kick that we've seen Colt use periodically is merely contextual in nature, much like the kick in Dishonored 2 and Death of the Outsider, or if it will have its own dedicated key or button on the keyboard and gamepad. This next clip brings me back to the very first gameplay trailer where Colt merely ate one round of buckshot and died, resetting the loop to the very beginning. It makes me wonder whether Deathloop Deathloop will have a one-hit kill mode that you can toggle on or off that will make killing all 8 targets even more difficult. The reason I don't think that this is the default level of difficulty is because the game still needs to be accessible to a wide range of gamers, for whom this may be their first Arcane game ever. We'll cut forward again, and now we're seeing Colt stealthily traverse a large and open bunker of some kind, most likely part of the underground military installations on Black Reef Island. This clip, however, has something that is far more interesting than the environment itself, and that is that the super powerful Domino ability from Dishonored 2 is making its glorious return here in Deathloop. Although the design and the way it functions have been altered, likely to maintain a certain level of fluidity in Deathloop's moment-to-moment gameplay. Colt fires out a ball of energy that hits an enemy who is completely unaware of the effects, and a spectral tether is created that links this NPC to the 3 others nearby automatically, which says to me that perhaps the linkage of targets is completely automated by the game engine, and we won't have to link our targets one at a time like we did in Dishonored 2. Not sure why the power behaves like this, but it is really cool to see one of the most original and unique abilities from the Dishonored games making a triumphant comeback. Dinga explains that when you die or are unable to complete a loop, you will still retain certain weapons and abilities, making the roguelike comparisons to Prey Mooncrash that much more evident. The progression of the game means that by the time you figure out the murder puzzle, you will have so many weapons and abilities at your disposal that you will be truly unstoppable, and no one, not even the visionaries, will be able to stop Colt from achieving his goal. We get a closer look here at the intricately detailed weapon models, which once again just goes to show that Arcane's art department are incredibly talented at their jobs, and I'd argue that they're one of the best in the gaming industry, if not the best. A little bit more of the combat is displayed here, but nothing too notable aside from the striking designs of the surrounding level. Cut forward and we are once again introduced to the 8 visionaries minus Juliana, who is given her own spotlight later. This one in particular, who I think is likely Charlie Montague, is standing in front of what I think is part of the same amusement park area we saw earlier in the trailer, and that I mentioned I would bring up again. And the reason why is because of this guy. Is this where he is located initially? Can we manipulate him into moving from this district to another like Colt did with Igor? It's highly likely, and I simply love the fact that each visionary is given their own piece of the island to carve out in their own image. Perhaps Charlie has a secret love for theme parks that specialize in death and dismemberment. Now this next clip here doesn't display anything special in the gameplay department, but what it does show is what I think is the first official timeline and placement of each visionary in the 4 districts on Black Reef. We can see that half of the 8 visionaries are located in the 1st district alone, but each one only appears during one of the 4 day-night cycles. Our 5th visionary is located in District 2 during the afternoon time frame. Visionary number 6 is located in District 3 during the early afternoon time frame, and visionaries 7 and 8 are both located in District 4, but during the separate windows of morning and night. Man, Colt really does have a lot of ground to cover. One of the coolest scenes in this trailer is this one here, where we see just how different the environments can look and feel during the 4 time frames of the day. This is merely one area of a single district that undergoes some very noticeable changes throughout the 24 hours, and this will undoubtedly help in reducing the repetition of revisiting the same environments, because a good chunk of effort has been made to distinguish the districts from each other at any given point during the day. Skip forward a little bit more, sorry Juliana fans, and we reach the part where Dinga explains how artifacts work, which are likely the trinkets that act much like bone charms in Dishonored did, which add passive buffs and bonuses to your character to better fit your playstyle. Importantly, these artifacts can now also be modded onto your weapons to give them unique effects. We see this demonstrated in this clip here as Colt fires a large blast of white energy at his enemy, as opposed to a bullet or load of buckshot. Dinga loves to tease the audience here, and he's graced us with another fantastic meme for the Arcane Outsiders community with his suave suit and finger guns. And this concludes the Deathloop Explained analysis, but hold on, we're not quite done just yet. As you'll recall, this video was released as part of the IGN FanFest event, where an IGN moderator got the chance to sit down and talk about Deathloop with both Dinga and Arcane Lyon's art director Sebastian Mitton. A few other clips of gameplay were shown during this interview segment, and I felt that they were interesting enough to analyze and share my thoughts on as well. This clip here is very reminiscent of the Dishonored series, and its mix of fast-paced stealth and action as Colt lands the death from above takedown and proceeds to clear the nearby rooftop of enemies, with a level of skill and flourish that really lets you know that this is an Arcane Studios game through and through. We see a few different views of the striking environments, as well as this look at Colt using a sniper rifle with a bright pink weapon skin as he picks off this NPC from afar. Here we're getting another look at that amusement park styled area that we saw before, and we once again have Colt activating his health and damage buff ability. Not much that is super notable in these clips, but I have to once again reiterate that the combat looks super fluid, and I seriously cannot wait to play this game. A few more scenes of the environments here, with this one being particularly notable as it is the same area from the previous gameplay trailer where we saw one of the visionaries seemingly starting a cult of some kind, with some of the islanders worshipping her. Deathloop also carries over the same style of movement and locomotion from the Dishonored games as shown here, as well as that same level of verticality and a wealth of avenues to take to approach your objectives. Letting the final clips roll in the background, this concludes the analysis of the gameplay shown in these two videos. Deathloop is shaping up to be one of the best games of this year from the looks of it, and obviously no other title has captured my attention quite like this since Dishonored 2 released almost 5 years ago. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment letting me know what you think about the gameplay, and also let me know what I might have missed. Subscribe to the channel for more Deathloop content like this, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And remember that the outsider walks among us. Thanks for watching.